Game started.
Okay. Qa4 Pe from Brazil. Cool. Okay, I'm going to try C4. I'm going to play like a reverse Sicilian setup, especially since he played E5 here. So this is like a Sicilian defense with the colors reversed. And it usually ends up resembling some kind of closed Sicilian because black usually does not want to open it up. But he can, I guess. Let's see what happens here. If I ignore that and develop my bishop here, he could push forward. But black might be overextended in the center. And if he takes the pawn, I can always win it back with the queen check here or knight. Knight a6 to c5. Maybe a more reasonable way to pick it up. No, I guess I should have worried about bishop takes knight. Bishop takes knight is good. I still have the queen check, so I don't have to double my pawns on the rook file. But I might not be... this might not be good, since I think he gets to keep the pawn now. We'll see. I'll think of it as a gambit and play on. So he can block with either the bishop or he can block with the queen. I was going to say bishop knight. I was thinking we're more likely. I guess if he brings the bishop out, I have pressure on this diagonal. So maybe blocking with the queen was the right idea. And now I have to think about quick development. So maybe pushing d6 here. That doesn't look good. Maybe b6, b3, d3, b3. Pawn takes, and then I have a square for my bishop. I could go after this pawn immediately. Knight f3, attacking the pawn and allowing me to castle. And if he pushes, then where does the knight go? Knight to e5 anyway, hitting this pawn. Yeah, that's an idea. If he pushes knight e5, and if he defends that pawn, then I can play d4 to defend the knight, and if he takes en passant, okay, there we go. And this doubles up on this c6 pawn. So this move here right away was probably a mistake. I'm guessing maybe he can just defend. No, he's got to do something about the queen. So now I can take here with check. No, I can't. I'm sorry, that's adequately defended, isn't it? Yeah, if I take, he takes, I take, queen takes. So that point is all fine unless there's another trick. So I think my idea of playing d4 here to defend my knight, and he takes en passant, then I can take back with the knight. And I'll keep some pressure on this c6 pawn, which is the weakness in white setup, black setup. Yep, he goes there. That's logical. So let me castle so that my bishop is defended. So if that pawn moves suddenly, I don't have to worry about losing this. Right now, his bishop is not defended, so I don't have to worry about that right away. But okay, so now I could think of playing something like b3 and try and undermine these pawns over here. And I have a loose pawn here, which I have to keep in mind, but it's a little bit dangerous until black is castled. He probably doesn't want to grab this pawn because of the danger of getting skewered, although I have to clear the bishop off the back rank before that's a real threat. And if I take here, yeah, I was going to say he should probably take, because if I take, it'll force him to double his pawns. So now let's, he might be threatening to push this knight away and then win my backwards e-pawn. So let's put this guy here. I have a good square for my knight over here. I could think of rerouting knight here to here. Knight to D3. Could go to this square or to this square, although this one is defended, but it keeps a clamp on this, and I want to develop my bishop and get a rook on the c-file. I have to figure out something to do with my queen. It's a little bit out of play here. So many problems, so little time. So one step at a time. Bishop here. Maybe queen will come out this way and back this way, but bishop b7, rook to bishop b2, rook to c1. Okay, let's stop. Is he making a threat? There. He's hitting all these pawns that seem well defended, unless there's a weird tactic here. Take. There is a tactic there. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. My knight comes back here and defends. And that's defended. So, okay, it's still okay. So now maybe knight c5, knight takes rook c5, and I've kind of clamped down on this square, and I can double up and attack it. I've got a bishop on it already. I can bring another rook to the party. That might be a way of getting some pressure. Okay, what else is going on here? My queen is still out of play. I think that's my main issue. If I can't do anything else, I will bring my queen to b4 and then back here to d2 perhaps. Now, longer term plans. If I can set up a battery, actually put my queen here, threaten to push, chase this knight away and push and hit the queen and threaten checkmate at the same time. That would be cool. So, yeah, black is pausing to think here. I guess he needs a plan. I could go bishop a1 and queen b2. That might be a simpler way of getting there. Bishop is protected on a1, and it's still on this nice diagonal. Okay, so he is going to go for this kind of attack, which I'm not yet afraid of. I can put my bishop to this square and pin the knight. Okay, but for now I'm going to just go ahead with my plan. Yeah, I don't really want him to push the pawn one more step. So why don't I place the bishop there? And if he exchanges, that's okay. I can take this way and open up the F file. Am I threatening anything? Maybe knight here to threaten the queen, force it to move to a square. Can it defend? Can it defend? Okay, let's keep the H file closed and open up the F file. Oh, this pawn is hanging. Okay. That would be a problem. Okay, so let's take this way and see what we can do now. There was no time for intermezzo because he could always take on h2 with check, so knight to f4 wasn't working. Okay, the queen went there. So is knight f4 an idea here? Let's see, is there an immediate threat? Knight takes here is not check, but when I take and queen takes there check, he wins the bishop. So so I do have to do something about that queen. So if I go here, he can play queen to, so if I play knight f4, he can play queen to g5. If I put my king here, he can push that pawn and cause havoc. So maybe I'll have to move my king to h2 after queen g5, then king h2. Yeah, he's maintaining that threat. Okay. I was thinking it'd be nice to get the rook here, but he can just take it. So rook there, knight takes, queen takes. I still have a skewer on this guy, but then he just supports the knight. And I am down the exchange for not enough compensation. So I think king h2 is kind of forced there. Now I can threaten to chase that knight away. Not anymore. I was going to say I could have played, in the position before, I could have played the move e4 there and hit the knight. But now the knight is guarding the square e4. So we can jump in here, forcing me to take. Let's see. But it has opened up this idea. So I can play rook to c5 now, trying to go after this guy. So rook c5, knight to rook c5, knight g4 check, bishop takes, queen takes. Then what? Well, the nice thing about rook c5 is it's clamped down on this bishop, so he can't push this pawn and attack me for free. So let's go ahead and play that. So I could even think of leaving the knight there and moving my king to g2. Okay, I still am 2 moves away from getting my queen back in the game. Ah, he defends. Okay. So, now if I were to push the pawn, let's put the queen on this diagonal. So I can threaten to push the pawn and take that knight, or checkmate in the back rank there if the knight moves. Good to get a counter threat going. Okay, the knight comes plunging in. So now, has he got a check? That's not check. That's okay. The 2 knights can't check me because they're hitting dark squares, and I'm already on a dark square, and the queen can't check me. So the next move is not check. So if I push this pawn and threaten mate, he can push a pawn. Still, it's an interesting idea. Let's see what he does here. If he retreats the knight, I can take it. So he has to play f6 here, I think. Oh, the knight was hitting my rook too. I guess that was that was his idea with the knight move here. So after f6, I have to do something about this knight. Yeah. Might be time to sack the exchange here. I could take that pawn with my rook, just to not waste time. He takes, I take, and it's his move again. And then I need to hit this knight, but unfortunately that knight is a problem. So if I take with a pawn, and he takes my rook, and I take his bishop, he could take back with the knight, but this knight is at least out of the way in that line. So let's try that. He can come to this square here, but my knight's covering it. And yeah, this pawn is still adequately defended over here. Don't know how this will end up. I need to get more force on this dark squared diagonal. Maybe this knight. Got to figure out how to get this knight into the game somehow. Now if I take here, that's it. Knight here. Forks the rook and the queen. And driving pieces away from the defense of this square. So he has to move the queen. Somewhere. These squares in front are covered. Yeah, it just goes sideways. So now I can take that rook, but he comes back with the rook. And my bishop is pinned. Is there anything else? If I just come back here to where I was, that's just a repetition. Not very exciting. Here, let's win the exchange back at least. And then if he plays rook takes, I can play pawn to g4, it looks like, forking the queen and the knight. So maybe that wasn't a good choice for the queen. And if he doesn't, if he doesn't take the knight, then I can take this pawn here and threaten mate. Then the rook comes here, and I take his queen. Or queen takes pawn, queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, rook takes, and I've got two bishops and a rook against two knights and a rook and a pawn up. It's probably enough to win, but maybe there's better here, right? Why don't I just retreat the knight, hitting the queen again, and then I can take this pawn without trouble. I think that's a quicker finish to the game.
Black resigns.
Yeah, there was not going to be any move, and I was a piece up at this point. So, all right, good game. Thanks very much, Qa4 Qd7, and I'm going to post this game, and I'll post I'll do a post-mortem video on this and upload it shortly. So, see you guys later. Bye.